Hi family, thanks for watching. So I know it's been a really long time since we've posted our last video. August is always a crazy busy month for our family, and we took a couple trips this summer. Just kind of got busy with work, and before I knew it, it was September. So to those who are subscribed, I just want to say big thanks because you are the motivator that helps me after a long day, 9 o'clock, been taking care of the kids, doing my work, and staying focused to edit these videos. Today's video, I'm going to run through the garden, the progress we've made this year. Come on, let's go check it out. I'm excited to show you. Today, my hope was to just quickly go through an update of our garden and how it's been progressing here. And one change that we've been most proud of technically isn't even about the garden. It is about this grass. Look at this grass. Okay, don't mind the stains. Our dog has been decorating it. Our neighbor just taught us about a pH balancer that we can add to their food that will help us with these stains. We're learning how to regrow the grass. We were doing experiments on how to do that most effective. One method we did was we removed all the dead stuff, put the new seed down, and then watered that. Another method, we tried putting the seed in where the patches were still there. What we've learned is that when you remove the dead stuff away completely and then put the seed down, the new stuff grows a little healthier, stronger, and faster. It's a very small patch, less than 700 square feet. We had multiple reasons for why we wanted to put this grass in. The number one being is that we want our kids to be able to come out here and play, which him and the dog absolutely love it. My husband did lots of research on sprinkler systems, and we have a well, so we had to figure out pressure and everything like that. And he got all that information figured out, mapped out, and he went and put everything together. But basically, we brought in a lot of dirt to level this area out. Obviously, there's still a grade so that the water runs down the hill. And then we did all the trenching, borrowed a trencher from a very friendly neighbor, and were able to get all the pipes for the sprinkler heads down. And then you may have seen the short back when I did it in June, and it took me about 3 to 4 hours to lay down the sod, and voila, it's magnificent. Another part of this is to eventually get rock around the house so that we have a good clearance should another fire come through the area, have that little extra protection. And then that brings us back to the garden. As you can see, we're in process still of getting the rock laid out in here. Unfortunately, the gophers have already started burrowing underneath the landscape fabric that I laid down, which means I have to go back and level that out. If it's not one thing, it's always another. And you can see in our garden, it is definitely getting time when the autumn harvest is in full swing. We've got some pumpkins coming in. Our goal for our garden this year was to hopefully have enough that we had to figure out a way how to store some of our produce that we grew. I didn't quite achieve that goal this year. A big goal for us is always to have flowers for the bees. We've done lots of marigold, borage, sunflowers, and others in the past for them, but unfortunately the aphids killed all my starts. We tried everything from neem oil to organic aphid control to soapy water, essential oils. They've just been a real nuisance this year, and nothing has seemed to work. There's only a couple of things that we love to grow on a consistent basis, and one of those things is tomatoes. Now, we used to buy our tomatoes from those box stores and just put them in the ground with some potted soil and not think twice about it and get some really amazing homegrown tomatoes. And once you've had homegrown tomatoes, you just can't do store-bought. They're just rubbish. Just a year or two before we got the greenhouse, I started growing them from seed, but I kept having this problem, no matter what I did, with blossom end rot. I know that blossom end rot is traditionally an issue with watering. Usually it means you're either watering too much or too little. And it didn't matter how much I experimented and tried to figure things out, got things on drip lines, it didn't resolve the problem. I'm not a big fan of fertilizers. I feel like they're kind of a gimmick to convince people to spend more money they don't need to. But even when I used them last year, it didn't really help the tomatoes any more than usual. So this winter, I think in February, I did a bit of research and trying to figure out which fertilizers, maybe I thought I was using the wrong ones. And I quickly learned that it's really dependent on your soil. So I bought one of those soil testers, but when I got the tester, I quickly learned that our water and our dirt is very high in alkaline. And I'm not a chemist. In fact, I did very poorly in chemistry in school. But basically, my understanding is when you have high alkaline levels, it has a chain reaction that doesn't allow the plant to absorb calcium properly in extreme heat conditions. So no matter how many eggshells I used, no matter how much lime or anything to help battle blossom end rot, we didn't have success for about 3 or 4 years. And it wasn't until this winter that I learned this isn't a watering issue. This isn't enough calcium issue. This is too much of an alkaline issue. And this year, because we were working on the yard and had a transfer of that premium soil brought into us, I went ahead and refilled all the beds and bags with only premium soil because they have at least a balanced pH in the soil to begin with. But as a result, our tomatoes are looking gorgeous. The plants aren't ours from seed, I mean. Unfortunately, again, aphids just wreaked havoc, killed all of my starts. And then, luck would have it, I tried redoing them again a few months later, made the mistake of leaving the gate door open. The chickens and the dogs were in the garden eating my plants. And as I was running around with them, with the hose in hand, I accidentally knocked over my entire seeds that I was restarting. And I was so depressed, I just gave up. So for Mother's Day, my wonderful husband went out and bought me a whole bunch of little starts from a local seller who happens to actually live not too far over that hill. Just the squash and pumpkins survived, I think. Oh, and obviously the potatoes, because they were never inside the greenhouse. But yeah, let's dive into the potatoes, because those are pretty awesome. Okay, so for the potatoes, I actually had several experiments that I tried this year. The very first year, we had an abundance of potatoes, and it was a really wet and rainy year. And all we did was just throw the potatoes in a bag, throw them in our yard over here, bam, done. Then we tried to reseed those ones. And the next year just didn't work. And then the year after that, I can't remember which year, our chickens ate everything. And then another year, the deer or something ate everything. I can't remember all the stories. We had lots of false starts. And frustration, and I kept sticking with it because we'd had success the first time, and I love potatoes. But I went and found out the potatoes don't really like a lot of direct sun, and that was kind of the mistake I was making. So the experiments that I ran of like using potting soil 100% versus using a mixture of our dirt versus potting soil, I tried the hilling method versus just planting it deep, preferring the planting it deep method because it doesn't require as much attention as the hilling method. And basically, I found out it's all moot. Potatoes, I mean, definitely you want to give them a bit of a boost so that they grow nice and strong and big. So figure out what fertilizer works best for you. The fertilizer that we ended up using that is most effective for our dirt is actually just bone meal. And basically it just turned out like the key was watering it on a regular basis and keeping it in the shade. So yeah, going forward, we might make this the official spot for our potatoes, which is outside our growing area, and we'll have to figure out fencing for it. And we've already gone through half our supply of potatoes. Again, I really love them. So we'll have to save what little we've got left and restart it over for the winter harvest. There are a couple of garden things that we grow here on the porch. Our home faces the north, and this area stays in shadow all day long. Things like the celery that need lots of water and lots of shade, we will grow here. Last year, the gophers got to our strawberry bin and killed all of them except for 2. And I went ahead and bought another one. Now, the one I bought produced a couple of strawberries until we had that 3-day heat wave end of May, and then it started to die. So I brought it here into the shade, and it seems to be doing quite well now. It's even produced 1 offshoot. Now, the ones that the gophers got to, they pretty much ate everything. and I was only able to salvage basically root balls, not even really strawberry plants. And they're quite prolific. You can see here that these strawberries have managed to like create this cool little rooting system going on my trestle that I refurbished. So you can see how many little offshoots it's got. It hasn't produced any strawberries yet this year, so hopefully again next year we'll have an abundance to collect. So for our greenhouse, we never really did find a good resolution for the aphid problem. Eventually we just took everything out of the greenhouse. One thing I did learn is that the aphids do not seem to like the ginger plant. Oof. So I will probably repot the ginger plant and have multiples around the lemon tree, because the aphids seem to really attack the lemon tree the most. The problem with the lemon tree is it's just too heavy to remove. It lives permanently here in the greenhouse. That was always our original plan with it. Eventually this month I will be working on cleaning out the greenhouse like I did last year and resetting up some shelvings in here. Who knows, if we have another winter like last year, I may never need to use the greenhouse. But yeah, one last thing too that I will say that we did this year as a lesson learned from previous years was putting up shade cloths. So last year we had this temporary shade cloth that I just threw over the greenhouse. But one thing is they work best when there's a little bit of gap between the shade cloth and the greenhouse. So as you can see, I kind of jerry-rigged something this year in preparation of it's done a marvelous job. Because one thing we experienced last year when we had a heat wave of triple digits above 40 for, 3 weeks solid, everything died. I lost all my flowers. Well, to be fair, I lost all my flowers again this year, but that was because of aphids, not because of the heat. But last year I lost all my flowers. All my plants went kind of into this brown survival mode and didn't produce any fruit. And we were scrambling to try to find a way to protect them from the heat. And this year we preemptively took care of that and set that up. That when you buy plants from like the box stores, they always have those labels that say, oh, this plant wants full sun or this one wants partial shade. But we never really understood until we took a class recently from our local master gardeners that actually only means like maybe 6 hours of sun. But I don't know what those things are based on, because most people live in an area where the sun shines more than 6 hours during the summer. So they should really just put the number of hours that you need the sun for, because basically we're overcooking our plants and letting them in the sun too long. Like we always thought we needed to have this super sunny area for the plants, and it turns out we can get away with partial shade. But basically the shade cloths really saved us this year, and the plants seem to be really happy. But yeah, so we'll be kicking into cleanup mode, basically just harvesting everything that we've got out here. We'll finish laying the rock around the entire house, bring down these shade cloths for winter so that they don't rip off the building or cause damage. But I think that's pretty much everything as far as updates go. Overall, we're super happy with the garden this year. I actually have like a bunch of video files that I've been recording and have on my computer taking up space that I need to get through editing. But you know how life is. I do have to admit, it has been pretty impressive, even without having posted anything new, that we've been getting new subscribers. Hopefully this video won't sit on my computer wasting space and I'll be able to get to editing it in a fairly reasonable fashion. But yes, please do hit that like button, leave us a comment. I really appreciate it. And I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.